Okay, so guidepost number 14, coming up here this Sunday, the 6th of December. We've been looking at how it is that we relate to each other on the road. How do we connect with each other when we already know that we are in a society, in the larger pathway that we are on, that is highly polarized around a bunch of stuff. So how do we relate to this in a way that's really creative and supportive of each other? How do we get along with each other when we know we see the world from such fundamentally different perspectives? As it happens, I was part of a conversation last night on politics and religion where we talked about how it is that people change their minds. How do we change our own minds, but how do we relate to others in such a way that their minds are changed? And of course, we can't actually change somebody else's mind, but we can relate to them in such a way that we're supported in changing their minds. And one of the things we have to do if we're going to be able to be in a relationship in which minds are changed is we have to be willing to change our own minds. If I'm not willing to change, then there's already a kind of rigidity in the system. So it turns out the best thing that I can do in that system is to be curious about the way the other person sees things, in such a way that I understand what it is about their perspective that I don't already understand. This is not about what is most important to them emotionally, but is what is the mechanism by which they see this working? How do they, if tariffs are going to reduce our costs, or going to create jobs or keep them from leaving, or if building a wall is going to keep dangerous people out, what's the mechanism by which this happens? How is it? It's not just, oh, I'm really scared of those immigrants, or I really am upset because they're taking our jobs. Get that. But what is, given the perspective that you have, how do you see that working out? How's that actually going to happen? And if we can be genuinely curious about where each other is at, we're going to come to a place where we can see how the other's perspective is really valid for the other. And if it's not, if it really doesn't make sense, we're going to help them see that, oh, well, there's this thing that they're not taking into account. One of the things that came out of our conversation last night was that in our own experience of changing our own minds, we changed our minds at the point at which we began to see the issue from a larger perspective. It's like, oh, there's all this stuff I hadn't thought of before. And I'm going to be supported in seeing what I didn't see if I have a trusting relationship with somebody who does see it. So how do we create relationships of trust, of mutual support, such that we can see from the larger perspective and not stay in our rigidly polarized positions? So that's the task for us here. What are the barriers that we see to our own transformation? How is that I'm stuck and I'm going to be rigid in my position? What keeps me from being able to see or even be curious about how others see it? Okay, hope you can join us on Sunday evening. Be well.